Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another interview, another Tudo Talks. I have a very special guest today. We have DJ Temple on the channel today from Temple Music Academy. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really looking forward to having this conversation, man.
Yeah, man, me too. This is exciting. I like to feed my narcissism whenever possible.
I love that. That's funny. So, for the people that aren't familiar with you, after a comment like that, can you give a? I'm just kidding. Can you give a little backstory?
Yeah, my name's DJ. I live up in Canada on the West Coast, and I started the Temple Music Academy a little more than 4 years ago out of my home, eventually to a brick and mortar location, and
Right.
now on the YouTubes, as they tell us.
The YouTubes, plural. I love it.
Makes me sound old. I like it.
That's funny. Where did you so when you say recently starting YouTube, what does that mean for you? Because I mean, even 4 or 5 years ago for starting Temple Music Academy is relatively recent too. So what is recent defined as for YouTube?
Well, this is slightly embarrassing to admit, but I knew YouTube existed, and it was just kind of this thing we
Sure.
did in the back, kind of like uploading basic lesson stuff to help students that we had. We never
Sure.
really took to it as a full-time thing or a semi-full-time thing. And then my wife, honestly, she just got sick of me talking about music. She's like, I don't care about harmony placements and things. And I was like, but they're so sick. And have you heard this pentatonics group and like what they're doing with this? And so I started the YouTube channel just to talk to people, and I didn't expect it to do what it's doing now. Now I'm hanging out with you. This is great. Like it's so
The
crazy.
best. So the funny thing about that is I highly relate to that. Like I'll show my wife. My wife will be like, or I'll be like, "Hey, check out this song," and then she hates when I say that because she's like, "I want to hear the song," and here I am, like, "You hear those harmonies? You hear that guitar solo? Oh, you hear that quarter, that eighth note delay going on in the guitar? You know, like all this stuff." Where she's like, "I want to hear the song." I'm like, "But you gotta appreciate these things." And this, she doesn't care. She just wants to hear the song. So I
Yeah.
highly relate to that, man.
I like that you said that though, because when you're like, I can relate, I was like, you're talking to my wife too? What's up with this?
No, yeah, exactly. That's funny. No, my wife is the same way. So I just send her songs and expect in like a week or two her to be like, "Oh, that's a cool song." We don't listen to it. I don't like listen to it together anymore. So that's funny. So I'm curious actually. So you have so what is the Temple Music Academy?
Temple Music Academy started because I was a guitar teacher in some of the the major retail locations and stuff like that. And I just honestly, dude, I hated how they did things. I hated that everything was about the dollar or the contract or the. It was never about what it should be, which was the student across from you in the room. Nobody cares what theory you know if the kid is there to learn how to play Ode to Joy or the Baby
Yeah.
Shark song or.
Yeah.
And that's I swear I've taught Baby Shark way too much, but
Oh,
that's a
same here.
whole nother conversation.
Same.
But yeah, so I just started because I was like, there's got to be a better way. There has to be. And then, yeah, a few years later, I'm in a brick and mortar location in downtown Abbotsford, and it's just insane. I don't understand it, but thanks.
Yeah, for real. So I'm actually super curious about that. How YouTube has affected your or benefited your brick and mortar. Have you gotten clients through that
A lot, actually. What
in
seems to
person
happen,
or through Zoom or something like that, or both?
it's kind of both. Like because we tend to have a really big market in areas farther away from where we are physically.
Okay.
And the people are just, they seem to be doing what I am so grateful for because it was my ultimate dream, was that I'm breaking down the paradigms of like, you have to be some crazy intelligence level or naturally talented to even assume you could play guitar, which always seems ridiculous when you say it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, I never thought I could learn. Yes, you can, 100%. My oldest student is 87 and my youngest is 4. You
Yeah.
can do it.
That's funny. So I didn't realize you had this whole background. I was trying to do a little research, but there's always so much a person you could get through conversation. But that's exactly, I feel the same way because actually I gave guitar lessons for 10 years, 12 years before YouTube and stuff. So I highly relate to this conversation and your story. So that's super interesting that you get brick and mortar people and because that's the biggest debate of social media. I feel like so many people are like, I have a business, but like, how is going on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram really gonna benefit my business? You know what I mean? And it's like, you are living proof of that, and I believe that like Tara Simon Studios is like, I don't know if you're familiar with her channel, but like she's crushing it, and like I'm sure it's going well with YouTube because of YouTube. A major part with YouTube. You know what I mean? So it's like it's really cool to kind of like be living proof of that. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate that, and I think a lot of it is like it's such a daunting thing. It's so terrifying. Like I'm the first to admit that I tried to do this on my own, and if you do the thing on the button thing, it's even the way I'm speaking, you can tell I don't do it myself. But like there's a button you can click that shows the old videos, and man, they're rough, dude. Sure. It's like me and my iPhone holding it, like yeah, guys. Like
exactly, but you got to start somewhere. So people are so afraid to start. That it's like they just you're not gonna grow anywhere or get better if you don't even start in the first place.
100%, and I'm really fortunate that the support that we've gotten online has afforded me the opportunity to hire a team, and that's where we're starting to see like we're in the studio we built, using the camera and the equipment that we purchased and stuff to make the better videos. We have a timeline now to follow. It's because of guys like you and these other people that have set the precedence that this is a viable business thing, and now people actually give a crap.
Wow, that's interesting. It set the precedence in what sense? I appreciate the compliment, but I don't even know what you mean by it.
well, like for example, you're essentially doing some of the. We have a lot of like similar contents that we're creating,
sure.
And you've been doing it longer than me, so thus it's proving that it works. So like guys like me that just write business plans or whatever, I go, yeah, but this dude's crushing it. I've done a semi deep dive into your channel, and the thing that you are consistent with is like your quality of content is there. Like I feel like if you just had one of those old rotoscope cameras like this and a dude playing shitty piano lines like this, and like you would, those old school silent movies, you'd say something and then the text would come up. Even if you went to that, you're genuine and transparent, and I think that's why you have
appreciate that.
Anyone following you, and that's the real thing.
Thank you.
We can all spot the frauds, dude. Like
sure.
And you're just fun to watch.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. That's a very kind compliment. It is interesting what you're saying, though. Like you can spot the people that like maybe aren't genuine or just trying to do it for the views or their lack of love for music. And what's really interesting is I met a lot of people that aren't musicians and they just love music. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if you're familiar with like the channel King Family Reacts. Like Dennis King and his family, like he's not a musician, doesn't play anything, but like he loves music and people love that he loves music and he can talk about it. And that's the fascinating part about it too. It's just like to some degree it's essentially the modern day music critic. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, modern day music critic. Yeah, that's a very interesting perspective.
I had to come up with so many perspectives when people didn't know, like when people are like, what do you do on YouTube or what are you doing like in these videos? Do you react? I hate the term reaction video because it has such a cringy feel to it. I break down music online. It's part of what I do. You know what I mean? Like that so that when you say it like that, it's like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. Yeah, but I react to music. What does that even mean? It's like so cringy sounding. Oh man! But the point being that's super fascinating. So, how long have you been playing guitar for?
Dude, I don't even remember. I know I tried to play it at 14 to hopefully help me talk to girls, and it did not help with skinny.
Oh, really? I was gonna say it probably worked.
No, dude, skinny ginger kid with freckles. It does not help you. Like no. Like, and even now, like I'm married to a fantastic woman, and I'm learning this advanced like guitar technique stuff, and I'm really hyped about it. And then you go and show your wife, and she's like, "Yeah, but the dishes aren't done." So like, why do I care?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
like,
absolutely. It's funny, man.
But I think I started around 14, and I didn't take it seriously till 19 or 20. Okay. And so and I'm 38 now, so it's I guess 18 years, 15 years, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, man, it's pretty cool, and it's interesting to see like. So when you talk about music, what do you focus more on the guitar? Or do you focus more on harmonies? Like you mentioned harmonies before, but now I know that are you just a guitar teacher, or do you teach more than that too?
I try and teach as much as I can, and I'm a hobbyist on several instruments, but hobbyist is the best way to put it, hobbyist for sure. Like the guy that teaches our drum program here reminds me every day with his skill set that I should not be playing spoons. But what I do in my channel is I'm reacting to the things that I'm hearing first and foremost, like the first dominant thing that's coming to my mind. So like obviously if I'm reacting to a pentatonics piece, I can't really talk about the lack of guitar. That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Or we just launched the Slaughter to Prevail song last night because I'm a huge fan of that Russian band. They're unreal, dude. So good. And I really come from an extreme metal world. That's like my favorite thing in the world. So I often talk about that too.
Metal is highly underrated for those artists' skills. Man, metal guitar, metal drum playing are unbelievably skilled artists. And I think the people just kind of lose it in like the craziness in the music and the screaming and stuff and the screamo and all that stuff. But like, oh my gosh, those guys shred like no other guitarists.
100%. And there's a really cool thing. Bands like Annihilator, which I understand that the name of the band is slightly offensive, but they're amazing. And Shadow of Intent, they actually re-released their entire albums instrumental only.
That's cool.
And it's really, you hear they're like, oh my God, is that one-handed on the drum right now? Yeah. It's
and
pretty
the double
sick,
kicks that they have that sound like a machine gun going off. Like those guys are crazy.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to an extreme drummer. He plays in a band called Revocation. Good friend of mine, his name's Ash. And he was explaining to me that those crazy ones, this is even more ridiculous, that each foot is actually hitting twice before the next one.
Yeah, on the down and up, right? They like hover their foot, and I'm pretty sure they hover their foot. It's like, I don't think it touches, and they go down, and then it goes up. So it's the actual double movement like that. It's great. So sometimes, actually, you'll hear the double kick sound on a single kick pedal. And that's how they're doing it. It's this double, like, because this being the kick, they'll hit it with their foot down, and then they'll hit it like this. So it gives that kind of like seesaw kind of thing.
It's insane.
It's unbelievable, man. It's so wild. Those guys, if you like took off the distortion of the guitars and stuff, and actually heard a clean guitar play what they're playing, you would realize how wild it is. It's so wild, man.
Big fan.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to talk more about the fact of like how YouTube is benefiting your brick and mortar and even the career in general. Like, so when, I don't think we actually answered the question of when you actually started YouTube. So I apologize. I think I interrupted you.
I think it's like 14 months ago. I think. How many months has it been since? Yeah, something like that.
I appreciate 14. The quality of your videos for 14 months in. Like, your studio looks great, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's because I have a wife who says your background sucks. And then like I get like all these compliments and I feel great about the channel, and I come into the living room and I show her and she's like, yeah, but your office is a star. Like, it's just like, what's the word I'm looking for? She's like, you're a slob. You clean up your background. And then I said it once in a live stream, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, yeah, we didn't want to say anything, but that's a lot of thumbtacks in your wall. And I'm like, fine.
That's funny.
So hey, yeah, she's got a wicked eye for design, dude. She's got a wicked eye for that.
Yeah. So even if we just talk about that, is that two different colors on the screen, or is that lighting on the background that you guys have
like over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the lighting. So we have an LED bar set up that's hitting against the main. They explained this to me. There's like practicals and then a bleed light or something and a front light, or I don't know. Like I said, I don't understand it, but I'm fortunate enough to have hired a team that's their whole job.
Hey, I hear you, man. So. I'm going live as often as I do. I encounter so many technical difficulties, and thank God for the friends that are smarter than I am. I know that I don't know a lot of things.
It's interesting. This has been such a learning experience. It's so insane.
Gosh. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so used to just sitting in a chair across from someone going, yeah, this is an F chord. Yeah.
How did you handle the COVID? And I don't know what it was like for you with like shutdowns and stuff, but like with giving lessons in person. How did that work for you?
Yeah, that was really weird. I think everybody thinks it's weird because we never experienced something like this, right? Where we live in Canada was fortunate that it took a long time for the really bad outbreaks to happen. So we got this cool delay effect. But I don't know, like 5 years ago when we started, I had always believed in online lessons, and people always thought it was weird. It wasn't a thing. So like since day one, our branding has been that we've been pioneering online lessons.
Wow. Okay. So
when we were aware it was a thing, because we were watching the United States and stuff like that, we were like, okay, this is a thing that's going to hit us. It's inevitable. I had spoken to my wife again, who had the brilliant idea of like, she said, just switch online now. So we switched everybody online.
Amazing.
And then just got used to teaching online, and then their own lives adapted to teaching online. So now we have a very healthy like 50-50 split of online and in person. And then the YouTube drove more traffic, and people were like, yeah, but I probably can't get guitar lessons online. Yes, you can. Mm-hmm. Oh, but it probably looks like crap or whatever through a phone. No.
Yeah, it really doesn't. you can actually have really good quality. And the only issue that I found, and I don't know if you found a workaround around it, but is the minor hat like millisecond delay. So you can't really play together. But other than that, like there's really no difference. You know what I mean? Like the one out of, I don't know how you taught, but like the 1 out of 10 lessons that I might be like, oh, put your fingers here, kind of, and I would actually take the hand of the student and put it. Like that happens so rarely. I would just say, no, go to the next string, or it's on the wrong fret, or so it's like these minor details that, like, you know, as long as the student's still getting lessons, like it doesn't even matter in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, and if you commit to the craft, it's going to make you insanely better when you have to. Like, I'm a big martial art guy, and what my instructors always made me do was they were like, okay, well, you're really good at this move, but what if I take a leg away? Or what if I take your hand away? Yeah. So, like, when I'm teaching online, I've taken away the ability to manipulate your hand, and I have to learn a better way to communicate and describe it to you.
Ooh, yeah, and vice versa. It works on both sides. It makes you a better teacher, and it makes them a better student. That's a great point. Yeah. And, like, I don't know if you ever took formal lessons, but I personally never took formal lessons. And, like, I learned fully on YouTube. So if I learned by myself fully on YouTube, like, then somebody giving instructions personally one-on-one online, or even in a group setting to some degree, like, they have a way better edge than I did when I was starting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, perhaps it's very interesting. Although I would argue that if you learned on your own directly from YouTube and online sources, it means you're probably slightly more passionate about the instrument, and that will come across to the student.
That is interesting.
Yeah, we have a big thing when you leave the academy. The last thing you see here is that famous Beethoven quote that goes, to play a wrong note is insignificant, but to play without passion is inexcusable. That's my favorite quote.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the best part about playing the wrong note is 99% of the time, unless you make a face, nobody knows it's a wrong note.
Yeah. Or for those of us that know music history, if nobody ever played a wrong note, we wouldn't have blues, because blues is technically a wrong note. I mean, entire subgenres were created.
Exactly. And how much music theory do you know?
I always tell everyone nothing, but you never know.
Actually, though, or like
no, I got a little bit of a background.
So like okay, like I don't really know how to follow up that question, so we'll move on. So I guess enough to teach, but like, do you teach people like when you teach scales, do you just teach finger patterns, or do you be like, okay, this is the major scale, and like how many sharps are in the scale and stuff, or how do you like how?
Yeah, so I actually do it this really crazy way where I go, I'm always planning for a year later. That's every lesson that you have with me after the first one, because the first one I'm basically like diagnosing you. And then everyone after, I'm planning for a year later. Hey, we're going to do the scale right now. Okay. Why? I need you to get that pinky finger sucks. We got to get the finger for, oh, okay, cool. And then later on, I'm like, oh, by the way, that's a natural minor scale. Oh, hey, that's the 6th mode. We've already done it. Now let's just alter the mode here. Let's do a flat 2 here, sharp 6 that. What's the key signature? It actually doesn't matter, because we can do this rolling centralization or tonality. Oh, really? Yeah, and you've already got this year of background stuff. Here's modes. And they're like, oh, it's just this? It's just that. Now transpose to all 12 keys. Go ahead.
Exactly. Dude, guitar is so much easier than the piano, because like transposing and stuff like that, all you have to do is move a fret over, move a fret down, compared to, you know, the piano, where it's like, I don't know if you know anything from the piano, but like there's all the black and white keys, things are wild, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What I always found was really dope is that I actually think a lot of people are teaching modes wrong. That's been
Can you elaborate on that? Because there's a good chance that I might have been.
Well, because like we get so hung up on this is Phrygian, this is Phrygian dominant, this is like, have you ever heard of the Hungarian Gypsy minor?
I have not.
Which is a ridiculous name, and I always say to these kids, like, I have these 5-year-olds that I'm teaching modal structures right now, and I'm like, guys, modes are like, they're like, well, I looked it up, DJ, but what's mixolydy? And I go, yeah, exactly. Like, don't do this. Do it based on functions. So, for example, the only 2 natural modes are natural major and natural minor. That's it. Every other mode is a bastardization of those.
Okay.
So let's speak in functions.
Okay.
If I said to you, what is 2, you wouldn't answer me what's 1 plus 1, but you know what 1 plus 1 is.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, do you know your major? Do you know your minor? They're like, yes, great. So the second mode is really just minor scale with a sharp 6. So let's shorthand that and call it minor sharp 6. The next one's minor flat 2. The next one's major sharp 4, major flat 7. And now you're speaking in function, and it doesn't matter what the key signature is anymore.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Oh, but DJ, I'm in a minor key now. Yeah, well, minor key is just making the 6 treated as the 1, and away we go.
Exactly. Yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it. So what would be so I'm curious what's your perspective. What is the benefit of like why would you use a mode? You know what I mean?
Oh,
like
what's super cool. This has been my favorite explanation of it. Because I did do the schooling stuff. I just hate it. Sounds so pretentious when you're like, hey, I went to school for this. It's like, shut up, dude. Nobody cares. But my beef was, why did you have to say so many words? Because none of us were inspired to play the guitar by some dude in front of a chalkboard. Let's be real. So
did you
my
go to
big
school
thing,
for this though?
I've kind of been doing it because COVID ruined it, but I was doing the Berkeley thing for a bit.
Wow, online Berkeley?
Yeah, that's been my big thing right now. But
Good for you.
Well, not really. It's hard as fuck. It's insane.
I know. That means like you're like even to get in. Like actually, is the application process to get in online the same it is to get in person?
No, not even close. To be honest with you.
Okay. Because like I know a guy, and this guy is unreal, and like the process to get in is so hard. But I'm sure you still have to. There's got to be some sort of quality, like.
But it's nowhere near like trying to get it. Anyway, I digress. But my big thing is I would teach a student like, hey, play this chord for me, and they would go, okay, cool. La. Hey, what chord is that? Well, it's an A minor chord. That's really cool. Okay, well, do you know how the A minor chord works? And they're like, well, I put my fingers here and I play it. No, yeah, but you know what's really cool is and go with me on this journey here is if we consider where you're putting it, that's a question. Like, what's the second scale degree of any scale? Like, what's the second chord function? Well, it's a minor chord. It is. So what if you put your A minor there? Well, then we're in a different key. So if you treat it, which you get to make that decision, you get to go, this is my 2 chord. I go, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'm playing Dorian over top of that. But if you want to treat it as your 6 chord, well, then we switch keys. Now we're in C major, and I'm going to treat that as a 6 chord. And 6 chord's important for metal guitar players because then I get to take my natural minor scale, remove the 2 and 6, and play pentatonic and think I'm awesome. And then I can add a flat 5 or a tritone and play the blues scale, think I'm really awesome. Yeah. I can sharp the 7 and think I'm Yngwie Malmsteen for 20 seconds. Quickly get an earth-shattering truth that's not true. But that's so that when I'm talking modes with them, I go, hey, that's literally the answer to this. Yeah. It's everybody asks, how do I make the notes connect on the fretboard? That's literally the answer, guys.
Sure.
This is how you start on fret 1 and go to fret 27 if you have a 27 fret guitar. You seem like a cool dude. I assume you do.
Exactly. I don't know. What friend this strat? How many frets does it have? Is it 24?
It has all of them. That's what you say. It has
all the frets. Yeah, exactly. I love that. So what are some things, going back to your YouTube channel, what are some things that you've discovered that you might not have anticipated you'd like?
The hate.
You like that?
No, I never anticipated the hate.
Okay.
But I like that I didn't anticipate it. Bear with me.
Oh, I know that's a great perspective. That's not really what I was asking, but that's even better answer than I was asking. No, but that's an even better. But that's a even better, because I have a feeling I know where you're going with this. That's an even better answer. So continue going along with what you were saying.
I never anticipated in a million years the level of derogatory comment that would come. I expected I'd get people that go, you called that harmonic minor and I disagree, or you called that diminished and it wasn't diminished. Well, you know, it's a perspective thing, so sure. Oh yeah, music school, whatever, loser. Yeah, I expected stuff like that. But I had people commenting on doing aggressive sexual acts to my wife was the first one.
Wow.
Then making fun of my weight, and then making fun of my speech, making fun of being ginger, making fun of
people are crazy.
It was insane. And it was like, you read the comments and you go, oh man, maybe something I said was like, because I live in this world where I just kind of say how I'm feeling. I don't really think about it. Like I'm going to say to you, I think you're a cool dude. I want to ask you what number 10 is all about, because I've noticed it a couple of times. But like, And then that thought leaves my head. But like you're reading the comments and you're like, man, maybe I said like, oh, what's the number 10 about, or something like that. Maybe it came across the wrong way. Do you ever do this? Do you ever review your videos like, man, maybe I said something wrong?
Super rarely, except for yesterday. Somebody was, because I personally don't curse, and somebody's like, "Oh, Jake, that's the first time I ever heard Jacob curse." I'm like, I definitely didn't curse. So like, and you be you. It's like, don't you don't have to like censor yourself on there. I just want to clarify that because some people when they hear that, they're like, "Oh shoot, now I gotta get all like," you know what I mean. But I don't care. But so like that may be something like that, but like super rarely do I ever go back, because unless like something like is like coming, because like. This is another YouTuber that I became friends with. He calls his certain viewers the Ninja Watchers, and he goes like this every time he says the Ninja Watchers. And it's like those people, like, if you get a video that has 10,000 views, you get 100 comments maybe. There's 9,900 people that watch it that didn't comment, and like, or will watch every video but never comment, kind of thing. Like you and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, I've been watching for like 6 months, but this is my first comment." It's like, "Oh, you're a ninja watcher, like you're hiding in the shadows in the night," kind of thing, watching the videos. So
that's good.
So the if it's one of those comments and like it's like an offhand random comment, I've never seen the name before, like I usually don't even care. But if it's a comment that I've seen, like, okay, this person's been on the channel for like a year, they commented a lot, and now they're saying something like, maybe, let me actually go looking back, and maybe I did say something wrong, or it came back to that, or you know what I mean, like something like that. So
I feel you. I have a mentor that I talk to a lot, and I'm really grateful for mentors, man, because they help. They help a lot. And he's got this great saying. Sure. He's like, if you're gonna choose to not hear the boos, you have to not hear the cheers as well.
Couldn't agree. I've actually been saying this is the third live stream that has come up this week talking about that. You can't choose to listen to either one or the other. It's if either you hear none of them or you hear both of them. And I personally choose to hear none of them. I like the compliments, while they're very nice, I don't listen to them. And while that means that I don't hear then the negative comments either. They just both roll off.
Well, yeah, because it can sway your content creation, right? Maybe somebody says something and now you're going to wear the number 57. Like it doesn't make it, or I'm going to be blonde next week, you know?
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
Actually, that's not anything anybody needed to picture. I'm sorry about that, everyone. There, true Canadian had to apologize at some point in the freaking thing. Yeah,
but you gotta say it like that. You guys say it with like you drag out the or, like sorry, right? Is that correct?
So the common misconception is that's a location based accent.
Oh, okay.
So as you get further on the East Coast to Newfoundland, which I really want to travel to because it looks gorgeous.
I just had a Newfoundlander on the channel on Monday or 2 days ago, so that's why. Yeah, exactly.
And that's where you're like, oh, sorry there, buds. Hey.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's very much more out that way. Out West Coast here, we just genuinely sound more pretentious.
That's funny. That's funny. So, so going back to your comments though, like, so you said that the negative comments is something you would have never expected, and I assume you said that because had you expected it, you would have never started, kind of thing. Or... No,
I honestly believe that had I expected it, it would have greatly, drastically actually affected the rate that I made content. Because the other side of it was, I always thought what would be cool is if people would be able to actually talk to me. And my idiocy with YouTube was I thought it had a DM platform built into it. So I thought they could, and they couldn't. So we made an email address, and I was like, hey, you guys can email me here. And my thought was more safety. If I registered a separate email address and it got hate speech or whatever, it wouldn't affect my day-to-day business. I could just kill the email address. I didn't expect to get 1,500 emails my first day.
Whoa!
I certainly didn't expect to get, to this point, I think we're at 87,000 emails or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
I never expected that. And the general thing, if you're reading through them, it's majority is like, hey, DJ, would you please react to this video? But then somewhere around, like, I think the beginning of the pandemic played a huge role because we started doing live streams, and the live stream started with, hey guys, it's DJ here. I'm checking in on you. Are you guys okay? Like, you know, let's chat here. What's going down? And it became this community. That's why I never thought that was a thing that could happen.
Sure. It's wild, actually.
I start getting emails like, hey, DJ, we're calling ourselves Templars. I'm like, that's weird, but cool. That's like a weird way to go about it. Yeah, I'm the Templar and this. And then getting emails like, would you please react to this video because it means this personal thing to me, and then I got a story behind it.
Yeah.
To react to this band, and then I got a story behind it. To hey DJ, I wanted to check in on you. How are you? And I'm just like, wow, this is insane.
Yeah.
And never thought that would happen in a million years, or that content that I'm creating. Because again, to reiterate, I just started this so I could like meet cool dudes like you and chat about things that make me stoked. Dude, I don't care if we start talking about what's something really rando.
I think Modes was pretty rando.
Oh, okay. There you go.
But then again, actually, we were on a conversation with somebody yesterday, and we started talking cryptocurrency, so that was really random.
It's like to talk about passionate things, like things that you're into. That's the infectious thing, I think.
I agree. I would agree with that.
So
I would
yeah,
totally.
man.
I think people. I've been asking a lot of, and I'll ask you actually. This is a great follow up to the question, and I'll give my answer of what I've learned through asking this question. But I've been asking a lot of people that do reaction style videos or music breakdown reaction style videos why they think people watch, and I got a lot of different answers, and I'd love to know your perspective.
My answer has been validation.
Interesting.
That's what I think. You want to be validated that you think that song is great. Mm-hmm. I really don't think there's anything else to it. I've thought about this really long and hard. I've really I don't want to sound super hipstery, but I really meditated on it a lot because I'm super into meditation. And I've really thought that like the only thing that could make the comments as angry as they are, as well as positive as they are, is that you don't feel or do feel validated. Mm-hmm. I think it comes down to that. I will talk on my channel, because it's my channel, damn it, how much I love Pantera. Mm-hmm. That is literally the reason I play guitar, let alone everything else that happened because of guitar, was because I saw Dimebag Darrell play guitar and was like, what the hell am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
And then I met him and I told him he was my hugest inspiration. And I was like, I want to start a band like you. And he's like, then just do it, brother. And I was like, okay. And then I started my Without Mercy death metal project, which I like because of this man.
We have to hear that story after this this question.
Oh, sure.
For sure.
And if you summed up all the comments and emails that were, I still can't believe that people care to send me paragraphs. Dude, they send me paragraphs.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. Because they always end the same, sorry to send you so much. I'm like, you don't know, I'm loving reading this, dude. Yeah, but the only thing that I think draws that level of passion is the validation thing, 100%.
And it's super wild to get some messages like, I don't know if I'm sure you've gotten these actually, the ones where it's like, hey man, like this, I just found out this about my mom or something like this. I've been super depressed, but turning on your channel is like the only thing that keep it's like, oh my gosh, it's crazy to even like think, hey, I'm just putting YouTube videos up here and like people are like, oh, yeah, I look forward to your videos every day because I'm sitting in the hospital with my mom right now. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh,
yeah, I got one that was like, we're about to pull the plug on my grandma or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you here then? What? And they're, this is the only thing that made me feel like normal again or something. That's like, nobody talks about the insane amount of pressure that kind of comment brings, right? Like
it is pretty wild, man. It is. And it's to be honest, like to some degree, I think we have to kind of treat them with like the same way as the comments to some degree. Otherwise it's just going to be insane amount of pressure on you. Like you feel horrible and then you do whatever you can, but so, like you said, like it's like that's an insane amount of pressure to be like, oh my gosh, like, because then you start to be like, well, this person's sitting in the hospital room, like I got to put a video out today, and it's like, well, you also have to take care of yourself too. It's this huge balance.
Yeah,
I love your shirt, by the way. I love the
Thanks,
Kindness
man.
Matters shirt. That is very, very cool and super important. So
I hate that I keep saying it, but my wife, she saw it and brought it home for me. She was like, "This seems
cool.
like this."
I
seems
thought it was
like
gonna be a
you.
negative comment from your wife, and I was gonna say that's kind of ironic, as you wear the Kindness shirt. I just realized it is the time that you have to wrap up. I don't want to take you longer than So
we'll keep going until they knock on the door. How's that?
okay, sounds good to me. I'm fine with that.
But she saw the shirt. She chose the purple. Purple became our theme. In our main room out there with the lessons, somehow her favorite animal, a llama, became like our mascot. It's the weirdest thing. So there's llamas everywhere. I don't understand. She's got her hands in everything, I guess. It's crazy.
Yeah. Do you what was I going to? Can I hear the Dimebag Darrell story?
Oh, buddy, I'll tell that story till I'm blue in the face, or purple, as it were.
Yeah.
But for me, I've always used this metaphor, and you're a musician, so I'm sure you'll get it. You're aware of music. It's like this thing that exists around you. You're kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, sure. And the first time I heard Pantera was when I first clicked into the Matrix. Like, I was like, now I am aware of things. These are things. Must play guitar now.
Yeah, exactly.
And like idolizing him, pictures on my wall kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like, I love that man. When you come to my academy, I hope you do one day, please. But when you come to our academy, you open the door, the first thing you see is this like 30-foot picture of Dimebag doing that. And like, everything about him. And then we waited 3 hours outside in the rain. There's 3 hours. We were waiting for him, and there's probably 100 of us because we all, if you've been to a live show, you find the tour bus and you just wait there. The security had lined up security gates because they knew what we were doing. And this guy runs out of the thing, the backstage area, and pounds open the bus door and starts feeding the band members into the back of the bus. And for those of you that don't know, Dimebag's brother, Vinny, played drums with them. So everybody's rushing to the bus to get in because they're like late for the next venue or whatever. And the only two people that are slowing down are Dime and his brother Vinny, and they're physically stopping at each person going, hey buddy, how you doing? And then he gets to me and I'm like, I'm losing my mind here. Because like, this is the reason I do anything, is this man right in front of me. And that little seed of doubt goes in the back of your head, like, please don't be a jerk. Please don't be a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, please don't be.
Wow, yeah, for sure. That's wild.
This is 2003-ish. So he's basically the biggest metal guitarist in the world at this point. Mm-hmm. He could be a piece of shit. He's allowed.
Yeah.
He's a big stoop.
Yeah.
And first I meet Vinny, who I take a picture with Vinny, but somebody pulled Vinny, so he's looking like this. And the picture gets shot. And I have that copy where Vinny's looking off into the distance, and it's me all excited I met Vinny. Now, that picture happens in a split second, and I go, thanks, man. And this huge metal rock star goes, no, take it again because I wasn't looking.
Wow. That's why. I love that, man.
And now here comes Dimebag. So I'm going to gush. I'm getting chills, dude. Here comes Dime, and I didn't have anything for him to sign. Because I was like, I didn't think this through. And he's like, how you doing, man? And he's making eye contact.
That's
I'm like,
crazy, man.
Hi. And he's like, hey, you play guitar? I'm like, yeah, you're the reason I play guitar. He's like, F yeah, brother, or whatever. And he starts signing my arm. He's like, you got a CD? And I was like, no, I don't have a CD. And he's like, yo, get me a CD. So this guy gets a CD, signs a CD, gives it to me. I didn't have a digital camera, so I ran out of film, so I couldn't even get a picture with Dime.
Oh, my gosh.
But we had just seen him at this club, and I said, I want to start a band because of you. You are everything to me. And he looks at me dead, and he does like one of these onto your chest, like these hard points. Yeah. And he's like, then you should fucking do it, brother.
Yeah.
And so I literally the next day started my band, and a year later we played the same stage that I just watched.
Oh, that's sick. Come on, man. What a story.
It was unreal.
That is cool.
I was heartbroken when he got killed.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine. Yeah, for sure.
And that's actually one of the reasons that to date we've never done a Pantera video on the channel, is because I'm just like, I think that I'm sure I'm going to do it eventually, but I think it just needs to live in infamy right now and just let him exist he's everything to me, dude. Everything.
That's wild, man. What a story. And that is the craziest thing of why kindness matters. Like you said, like you never know who you're meeting, who you're talking to, and how you're going to potentially influence them, man. Like now, like how many views does your channel have at the moment? Do you know the total collective views?
I actually don't even know how to do that. How do I do that? Is that I have the app thing?
Yeah, so go to the. I apologize. There's a fly, like a gnat flying around my studio, and it's driving me insane. Because I'm looking at the camera, and then it just goes across my eyes. So it's like it's driving me insane. So if you go to your analytics. If you go to analytics, let's see, and then you go to okay, go to analytics, and go. Oh, can you do? Yeah, okay. And then you see the views at the top, real time views, 48 hours.
Yep.
Click that and go click real-time views and click lifetime.
Oh, I'm literally learning this right now. This is cool. Lifetime. Oh, there it goes. It's like buried. 6 million? Does that sound right?
Yeah, that probably does. Okay. So think about this for a sec. So you have 6 million views on your YouTube channel. You know, all the stuff that you've done, all the students that you've taught, all the shows that you've played, you know, and then to some degree, highly, not related, but like due to the fact of what, you know, Dimebag Darrell said to you. And it's like that one influence now has influenced millions of views or people, or however you want to break that down. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's like you never know who you're talking to. It's the craziest thing ever, man. And it's so... When you realize that, it's so inspiring to some degree too. You know, like who you don't know, one person that might watch your video could be the next John Mayer. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like
100%.
And then he comes and says like, "Oh, DJ Temple, I saw his video online, and now, like that's the craziest thing ever, man. That is such a cool story."
There was a thing called the 6 Degrees of Dimebag or something. I'm probably getting the name wrong, but it was
like the
all
6
these...
Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, and it was how many world famous bands are around because of him.
Wow, that's so cool, man.
I've never vetted this story, but the one I really want to tell is I'm going to make it dramatic because the way I read it was really dramatic. Was this band was playing around to shows or whatever, and it wasn't going good. They were not getting any kind of a break, and they're getting really frustrated. So this drunk guy like stumbles to the front of the stage at their show, and he's just rocking out, and basically it's an empty room. You know, nobody really gives a shit about the band, and they're pretty frustrated. And then backstage, the guy forces his way backstage, and they're like, "Oh great, we got to deal with this drunk asshole or whatever." And it turns out to be Dimebag, who's like, "I love your band. The mask thing is dope, dude."
Oh,
and they're like,
man, come on.
And they're, you know where I'm going with this.
Exactly.
And they're like, "Yeah, thanks, dude. We're about to hang it up, man, because we love you, but we ain't getting a shot or whatever." And he's like, "I come on tour with Pantera," and Slipknot's a band now.
Come on, is that real?
I've never vetted it, but that was listed. And then, have you heard the Dave Grohl story?
No. Okay, I haven't heard any of these stories. These are crazy.
So Dave Grohl is arguably like the nicest dude in rock and roll. Let's be real. And the rumor around the internet is that he was at a party with Pantera and all the guys or whatever, and Dimebag pulled him aside and was like, "Hey, dude, your band's really sick." And he got all serious. He's like, "Don't fuck this up. You don't be a dick. You're never allowed to be a dick. It doesn't go like that, man." And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, don't fuck this up. Listen to me. Without those fans, you are nothing. And I'm like, this is freaking Dimebag telling you this.
Yeah, for real, man.
Like the level of clarity he still had at that level to be like, without fans, I am nothing. Like the other rumor was he grew up in Arlington, Texas, and he still lived there till his death or whatever. And there was some weird gas station or something in his neighborhood, and he had asked the gas station people that if anybody looks like they'd be into his music, to give them his address. So you would just show up and knock on Dimebag's door, and just pass you a shot and be like, "Sup, brother?" And you just partying with Dimebag.
That's wild, man. You know what? After hearing this story, like, that would be so cool, like, to be, not, like to do, like, to say, like, the 6 degrees of DJ Temple or the 6 degrees of Jacob Restituto. Like, that's so inspirational, man. Like, dude, not saying we could ever like live up to you essentially becoming our own Dimebag, because nobody's ever going to be the next Dimebag or anything like that. But like, that is so wild. I love that. That is so cool. That is so cool, man.
He's the dude for me, and I'm just so grateful that like my idol was nice, because I tried to emulate my idol. We all emulate our idols. Sure. That's how that works. And I'm trying to emulate like him and like what he would do, and like giving people guitars or whatever, because that's what he did. Yeah. That's countless stories of him just buying people guitars at signings and stuff because they were broke. Like,
that's so wild.
The dude's the man, and he's
man.
hilarious. Please watch the home videos; they're freaking hilarious, dude.
It's so sad. It's so sad, man. What happens in this world sometimes? Like,
Yeah.
what an amazing story, and the fact that he's still living on through stories like this is so crazy. I love that though, man. I really like that. That is so cool, and that's gonna be a serious goal after this conversation. Like,
Yeah, man.
because you never know who you're talking to, man. And so many people have this. Ed Sheeran, I don't know if you're like super familiar with his story and stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure he met, like, I want to say Damien Rice when he was like 12 years old. I think it was Damien Rice. It might not have been. It might have been a similar genre artist, but like he like signed his CD and was like, just go for it, man, or something like that. And it's like, now it's Ed Sheeran, the number one artist on Spotify. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you
there's
never
lots
know
of
who
those.
you're-
Like, was it Henry Cavill? Henry Cavill tells the story about meeting Russell Crowe, and Russell Crowe going, "If you want to be an actor, you better get in shape," because he was fat. And like,
which is kind of ironic of how like Russell Crowe kind of looks now, but
Yeah, but I mean, have you? I hired a personal trainer because I was getting quite overweight. And I wanted to get a little healthier, and my goal was like, have you seen Superman? Oh my God!
Yeah,
like,
for real.
like he
Exactly.
looks like Superman.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's sick. Have you heard the? For a lot of people, sorry, I'm just going off on stories now.
Hey, I love these. Hey, bro, you give me some huge perspective with these, so these are amazing. So keep going.
Arguably the dude in the metal world for us, insane. Like, I am a psychotic metal fan. That's like, I bleed the metal stuff. The nicest dude, like our OG, like our dude, was Lemmy from Motorhead.
Okay.
He's just like, nobody oozes coolness more than Lemmy, right? And Lemmy passed away a few years ago, and one of the stories that came out at his funeral was Dave Grohl telling the story the first time he met Lemmy. See, Lemmy used to love this place called the Rainbow Room, I think it's called, and they had this little shitty slot machine, and he would just sit in the corner and play slots all day. And Dave Grohl, for anybody that doesn't know, is the singer of Foo Fighters, but also used to play drums in Nirvana. And that's the really key part of this story, because Foo Fighters had already had their second or third album out. You know, Monkey Wrench is a thing. It's a really popular band, and they're a great band. Let's be real. And he sees Lemmy, and he's like, "Oh man, I love Lemmy, Motorhead. Like, oh, I want to talk to Lemmy." He's like, I don't want to interrupt him, but I gotta say something. So as he's leaving, he goes back. He's like, excuse me, Lemmy. My name's Dave. I play in a band called the Foo Fighters, and I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm a really big fan of you. You've inspired me so much.
That's so crazy.
And he said Lemmy looked up at him and said the first words. Please understand the level that Lemmy has achieved. Okay, he's like, whatever's above icon status. This is Lemmy by this point. And Lemmy looks up at him, and the first words were like, "I was real sorry to hear about your friend, man."
Oh, wow.
Like, who says that as your first words?
Which, for people that might not know, is Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, like that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Just
so
yeah. I love those stories, man.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what the craziest thing is? Like, every single conversation that I've had, like, the reoccurring theme is like, don't be a jerk. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, so many people that have had seen some decent success in the industry, or some serious success in the industry, is like, don't be a jerk. Just be a good person, and that pays serious dividends, because people want to work with you. People tell good stories about you. People want to come back. People want to support you. You know what I mean? There's so many things. It's like, don't be a jerk and stay humble, and that's, which kind of tie hand in hand together. You can't do one without the other. But it's so important, and that's the craziest thing. It's like a super huge reoccurring theme.
I agree, and for those of us, we know who the jerks are. You can see them. You don't want to talk to them. Mm-hmm. Like, my team told me that I guess you emailed us or whatever, asking if we could hang out, and I was like, who? And they're like, oh, this Jacob guy. And I was like, that's not the. And I'm really sorry, my friend. I struggle to pronounce your last name, and I feel like a dick about it.
It's totally fine. Restituto.
I was like, Restituto. I was like, oh.
Like restitution.
Okay, well, let's pretend that I didn't butcher it the first time I spoke to my team about you. But, I was like,
I
is
wouldn't
that
have known.
Is that Restituto guy? Yeah. That's creepy. I literally just watched his video yesterday. That's kind of weird.
Wow, I appreciate the compliment that you watched.
Yeah,
it
it was kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie, bro. And it was a cool. I think it was live, like a re-recording of a live one or whatever, or a replay of a live one. You and this a very talented singer guy were talking about like you're like writing a song or something in your live stream or something.
Oh, in the live stream, yeah, probably Brad Steele.
Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, because you called him some dope ass name or something, and I was like, what? Like what's going on? You said like, oh, it's me and the B-Rad Brad or something.
I probably said the Bradical bandwagon because that's what he calls his subscribers. His flies hanging out right in my face. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, oh, this is a weird context, and then you guys started writing your song. I was like, oh snap, oh sick, and it was like musical talent over here for a second. It was just fun.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it was entertaining. And I was like going along on the journey with you guys. I was like, oh, this is really cool. As I'm like watching on my one break I had that day. And then my team's like, oh, this Jacob guy wants to hang out. And I was like, creepy. Because like I literally but yeah, I was like, this sounds like fun.
Well, I appreciate that, man. That's like a huge compliment that you were watching my video. So thank you.
Well, hey, it's just.
I appreciate it.
You're a handsome guy. You're a handsome guy. Gotta do the thing.
I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. Oh man, it's such great stories, man. I hope that it's wild, and I really have to say after that conversation, like I want that to be a thing, man. The 6 degrees of Jacob Restituto after this, or the 6 degrees of DJ Temple, because that's just so unbelievably inspiring. I mean, I remember the first time somebody was like, yeah, man, I used to watch your videos, and now you're one of the reasons that I started a YouTube channel. And now the guy has like 35,000 subscribers. And I'm like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, the guy, for a while, it was humbling for a second. The guy had more subscribers than I did. And I'm like, hold on a second.
Oh, man.
But I was happy for him. Because now we're friendly, but it was like, hold on, how did this happen?
Man.
Oh man, that's so funny, man. Well, I don't want to hold you any longer because I know we did run a little later, but this was such a fun conversation, man.
I agree, dude. I feel like I have a new best friend.
I love that, man. I agree. It's been a really good hangout, man. That's the best thing about these, like. I freaking love my job, man. We're just hanging out on a Friday afternoon. I mean, it's now turning into evening, but like, just hanging out, having a conversation. And the craziest part is that people actually care about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh man. But the question, the last question that I have for you, 2 questions actually, because there's been a lot of talk about pentatonics. You do a lot of pentatonics on your channel, so I do want to respect the fact that there's a lot of pentatonics fans in here. So. I don't even know. I just wanted to reference them because I don't know if I have a question about that. I just kept seeing pentatonics come up. Do you have anything you'd like to add about pentatonics? As a second to last question.
I do. I have and I'm not sure how to phrase this, so I'm just going to really speak raw here. I have mad respect for that group, and the Pentaholics, I believe they call themselves, have graced me with enough knowledge to know that many members of that group are going through or have gone through some personal trauma and some strife, and my hope and my dream is that none of these world conditions are affecting them in any way, except that they get to keep writing badass arrangements and music, because they're all dope as hell, dude. It's a lot of fun. And apparently the Scott dude, the blonde dude, he does a lot of their arranging, I think. That's just how you arrange those voices and give everybody fair time is unbelievable to me. Mad respect, and I truly hope that they're doing okay mentally and physically and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's couldn't agree more. The last question that I have for you is how can people that what's so funny, huh? I
just it's fun. This is just a lot of fun.
Oh, that's funny. How can people support your channel? If they haven't seen your channel, how can they best support what you're up to these days? Not even your channel, what you're up to these days.
Just come hang out with us. We're on Instagram as Temple Music Academy. We have a Patreon page as well as Temple Music Academy. Those patrons that have done that have helped us pay for these renos and stuff.
Amazing.
It's insane, dude. Like how these people give a crap about me, I don't understand. It's so cool. I love them all the same, and they could help me by subscribing to your channel as well. That would do me a real big solid if they could do that, because I think you're just a fun creator.
Thank you.
And I don't want to simplify what you're doing down to being just fun. I'm saying like you're fun at the center of everything.
I appreciate that, man.
We need more people like you and less people that are shitting on things. So makes it a lot more fun.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. This has been my most flattering interview. Thank you so much for coming on, Jeff.
It's because I got your check and it cashed. So we're keeping this.
That is not true, people who are watching. That is not true.
Oh my god! I got to tell my team the next video we do, we have to go. Today's sponsor is Jacob.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you.
Hey, you know what? That's actually brilliant. I actually might start doing that. That's not joking. That you might actually start seeing that. That is brilliant marketing.
There you go.
Oh my gosh! That is, if you guys start seeing that on YouTube, that is highly likely possibly going to happen.
That's my gift to you, my friend.
How good of marketing is that on other platforms like this? Will I pay you guys to literally mention my channel? That is an interesting idea, man.
There you go. There you go. You heard it here first, everyone.
Yeah,
he took a Ginger's idea and ran with it. Thanks, bro.
Oh man, well. If you could just hang up for 2 seconds, I want to wrap this up and say thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely go check out Top Music Academy on YouTube and check out all the stuff that they do, like the online lessons, like he said, with his brick and mortar if you're in the area, the Patreon, the Instagram, all the great stuff. I had a blast, so thank you so much for hanging out, and thank you guys so much for watching.